Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, see how they play out as karmic themes. This will allow you to understand why everything's playing out the way that it is. I love the smell of incense. You know, if ever you are a highly sensitive person, if you're a highly sensitive person that tends to get overstimulated and you can't relax, light a stick of incense in the dark and just it triggers your olfactory nervous system to get out of that fight, flight, freeze and into that relaxation meditation moment. You know, our sense of smell is very healing, brings you back to memories, right? So it's considered to be very therapeutic because it gets you into that different consciousness. Hey, Diane, how you doing? Figured I'd jump on tonight, do a little fast read for you all. If anyone has any questions, feel free to write them in the chat box. I like to keep it kind of open forum. If I don't get a chance to answer the questions while I'm channeling, I'll definitely get to them right after. All right, you know the drill, but for those of you that don't, if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, write the word of the video in your comment bar. The word of the video is always on the first card that I pull out. It's the underlining energy that tells us why everyone's doing what they're doing. When you're dealing with people that have a lot of spiritual blocks, you have to know what the underlining energy is because you're not going to understand why they do what they do. People create illusions. They wear masks, personas. You're dealing with people that are wounded or not emotionally intelligent. They don't want to seem vulnerable. So they make everything twice as difficult. They get in their own way. They sabotage the connection. The reason why we do these readings is not so much to get what we want. If we want that person to all of a sudden become normal, and to treat us well, it's not like they're all of a sudden going to become better. However, by you changing how you deal with them, indirectly makes them change how they deal with you. So that is part of it, but you can never make a person raise their vibration. If a person wants to stay in a low vibration where they're a cheater, they're a liar, they're a bad character, you can't make them. However, if the person really does have unconditional love and they're ready to evolve, they will take the proper action. But we don't do the readings just because of that, though we always want to know what they're going to do because there's an ego part of self. We do these readings to see why we're attracting this energy into our life. Why? And why is the situation playing out the way that it is? Especially if you have like spiritual blocks in love or finances where love is difficult and you look around at people and you're like, okay, well, everyone else seems to be able to be in a normal relationship. Why does my relationship always look like that? That's what it'll feel like when you have a spiritual block or abundance. I see everybody else moving ahead financially. Why aren't I? So there's a perception like there's something wrong. When we have a perception that there's something wrong, we're stuck in a limited reality. But meanwhile, there's many different realities that play out at one time. So the readings always have a therapy style to them because I'm not going to tell you, well, I'll tell you what the person has in mind and intention, but you are your own healer. You're your own alchemist. There's many different realities that play it at one time. If I'm a good advisor, I'm going to advise. I'm not going to predict. So that's why the readings have that style to them. All right. Just like to put that out there. I'm so congested. I have to say, definitely notice a difference when you eat bad. I've been eating so bad. Never realize how much we actually do suppress our emotions with food, you know? All right. The word of the video is determination. Determination. Well, Scorpio, I feel like you are like in your season, like you're saying to yourself, I don't care what happens, who comes into my life, who stays in my life, but I'm determined to see myself successful and to do what's best for me. I feel like you've just done with all the bad relationships. You've gotten to a place where you're like, if it's where you're really evaluating, I feel like you've changed a lot. You would always give people the benefit of the doubt. If people were nice and they, you had a little bit of chemistry and they were attractive, you give a person a chance, but not so much anymore. And it's because you realize that your time and your energy, first of all, was taken for granted by too many people. So that's part of it. And when you put your energy more into yourself, you got better results. So you're at the place where you're like, I'm getting too old to waste my time. So I feel like as you are switching into this energy, of course, that person that you let go of is going to come back. And the reason why is because there is an energetic cord that's connected. You can feel this person's energy on you. But you don't see them doing anything. They don't see you doing anything. You don't see them doing anything because they're not. They're actually watching you. And part of them is procrastinating. I feel like because they know that, it's going to take effort to get you back. So the word is determination. Everyone is determined to have the outcome that they want. And it's always like that. Why, when we disconnect, does the person, because again, the energetic cord triggers abandonment. And so with karmic mates, not until the lesson is learned is that connection broken. You have to understand. And all relationships, soul relationships are karmic because all those relationships have the potential to teach. So there's a sense of like kind of figuring that this person is a past life karmic mate, where at one time I think you felt that they were a soulmate, but you're still not really 1,000% sure. So there's still a little piece of you that's like, still holding on a little bit, but only because nothing has taken its place. See, the law of transmutation, you can't get rid of negative energy. Even if this person was 100% negative, if they gave you some sort of joy, some sort of emotional connection, until you fill that spot with something else, you can't get rid of it. The brain won't let you. It's part of the reptilian mind, the survival mind, your emotional well-being. And so I feel like you're connected to somebody that is not just determined to come back, but they are also like thinking about how they treated you, thinking about their actions, thinking about how they were reactive to. I feel like you were very nice to this person. They had no reason to be reactive towards you, but they have a lot of spiritual triggers. And at the time, I feel like this person didn't really want to get close. And it really didn't have anything to do with you. It had everything to do with themselves. Part of it is that they got overstimulated. Overstimulation is too much thought, too much of emotion. I feel like this person felt inadequate with themselves. I also feel like they've never really seen a good relationship or had a good relationship. So they have a lot of ancestral and family karma. So when a person has grown up in a family where there's toxic relationships, you can inherit your parents' karma just from watching that situation play out. Well, then what happens is that this person overcompensated, and they overcompensated from that moment on to not really show their emotions, to not really to not really be as authentic as they should be. But the problem is that when you have a soul relationship, you can feel when a person is accurate, like when they're coming from their truth, and when they are not. So I feel like they were always giving off like a little bit of weird energy, but they did have the power to really trigger you. Again, that's self observation, but I feel like it's because you make this person look at themselves. See, I feel like you didn't really have a very high self esteem when it came to relationships because of your past relationships. And this person, again, isn't confident in relationships. And you both are sensitive. So you both tend to tap in intuitively to what the other person feels. And so it creates a whole triggering effect. But I feel like this comes from the fact that this person wouldn't be able to make you feel the way that they make you feel, and vice versa, if you didn't have the wound of feeling inadequate inside you to begin with. But there's mirroring energy, and that mirroring energy really is about teaching you about yourself, digging deeper into yourself, which is really uncomfortable when you have to dive deep within yourself. So it's a very spiritual connection, even though from the outside the relationship kind of feels like insignificant. And what's odd too is that you don't really see that much going on, like where this person's calling you and trying to take you out and doing that. That's not what's happening. It's almost like in separation, this person is like thinking of you, and then it's triggering them, and like it's making them do deep work. And a lot of times it was soulmate relationships, when the relationship is dormant and it's on and it's off during those parts of separation, there is a lot of work that's going on. And that person's becoming a better version of themselves. And what they're noticing is that they still actually have feelings towards you, even in separation, even regardless of the anger or the anxiety, all the different emotions that this person feels. So it's a divine connection, but in the beginning of the connection, before two people that are really evolved enough to date, they're on the same level, is what I'm trying to say, where they're not going to have a runner chaser dynamic. They're not so immature. While they are immature, they're actually working on themselves. So there's a lot that's happening that you're not seeing. I hope that makes sense, because a lot of times you say, why is this relationship taking place? Why do I feel that this person's energy is on me? What's the point if they're not doing anything, but they're triggering me because their energy is on me? Well, it's supposed to make you dive deep within inside of yourself and say, well, what is it making you feel? Otherwise, we wouldn't sit around long enough to see. So, I mean, I think that what wound up happening with this person, or what keeps happening with this person, is you get to a point where everything's good, and then all of a sudden things are not good. And because things are never talked about or worked through, nothing ever really changes. So you see it as abuse, where like this person doesn't change. It's not that they don't have feelings for you, though, because it's like you can come back and they're happy to see you. If you were to be away for long periods of time, they would look for you. Their energy is on you. You can feel that they can't care. But it's almost like when they're in the relationship, they sabotage the connection. And I feel like you get to the point where you're like, it's abuse, but then you either don't stick to it, or they could, and that doesn't mean that you call them. They might come around and contact you, but you pick it up where you left off. So there's a sense that this person knows that you really do love them. There really is unconditional love. And so understand people tend to be comfortable in the relationships that they're brought up in. And so when you grow up in an environment where there's a lot of I'm leaving and toxic behavior, but then no one really leaves, but nothing ever gets really worked out. It creates a lot of trust issues. It creates a lot of intimacy issues. And so here it is, you're not doing anything, but this person's coming in with a whole shitload of family karma. And that family karma is that they get reactive, and that because they have wounds. And so you don't know what those wounds are. You don't know how you're triggering them. They don't do any work on themselves. They're supposed to do work on themselves. That's what this relationship's really about. So I feel like you got to a place where you're like, you know what, I learned my lesson. I'm releasing this karma, because that's how you see it. You're like, it's the relationship's not going anywhere. And I'm really determined to, live the best version of my life at this point. Like, you know what you want. Well, again, you release this person, and at this point, you put your attention on things that are going to grow you. Well, unfortunately, though, this triggers this person where they get irritated and they get jealous that the attention is not on them. So again, because they're really insecure, they don't want to, again, they don't want to make it seem like they're insecure. So, but the thing is, by you taking your power back, and that's pretty much what happened, because you're like, I've gone through this too many times. And possibly not just with this one person, because we tend to go through the same exact karmic experiences over and over and over and over again until we learn. See, it says what we resist persists. That's what it says, like in every spiritual scripture. And it's like we don't realize it. So then when we have a block, a lot of times we tend to do the same thing the same way, and we get the same result, and we don't realize that this is what we're doing. But there's a thing called stuck and stupid. When you have a block, it's like you get in your own way. You're overthinking. And so I feel like when people have grown up in a certain environment and then they go out and they date and they keep living that same experience, they're not going to change. The way that they change is that they meet people that are karmic, again, because there's love in that karmic connection, whatever the soul connection is, to make that person change, to make them revert back into the level of to their natural state of unconditional love, especially when a person has inherited a lot of family karma that wasn't even theirs to begin with. We wouldn't change. We wouldn't know any different. Love makes us change. So it's almost like this person begins to look at things differently once you detach from them, but they won't look at anything different while you're attached to them because they have a big ego. It's like you kind of have to make that person surrender the ego, and that's never by saying change. It's by doing exactly what you do. You put the attention on yourself, determined to succeed, determined to have a better life, determined to have more money, determined to just create more passion in your life. Your mind can't be in two places at one time. ESP, through the heart and mind. This is a soul's connection. Believe me, if this is a person you knew in a past life a few thousand years ago, believe me, a few weeks, a year, 2 years, 10 years, 15 years isn't really that much time. It's like, again, because this is a relationship that, they know your energy from many, many lifetimes. Found you in this lifetime to play at the same karmic theme. They have an opportunity. Do you want to evolve into a higher state of consciousness, or do you want to stay at the low state of consciousness that you've been at? Understand. They have that. So I feel like this person has felt like they've left you many, many times before. You just got tired of the manipulation. Again, it's all about control. It's all about dominance. It's all about when, again, this person doesn't trust themselves in relationships. That's all they've seen. So it would almost be like the person that doesn't know how to drive wants to drive the car. This person wants to be in control of the relationship. And it's like that, it's really like based out of fear. So the moment that you don't allow and that you surrender and you don't let it trigger you, well, then it triggers this person because they don't care how they keep the attention. You could be mad at them, you could be happy with them. Either way, you're showing emotion and you care. You just see it as abuse. Like you said, you got tired of saying, well, I'm always in a bad mood. This person is like a downer, like it's so much problems that the relationship doesn't even get off the ground. It's all about this nonsense. Yes, because they came into the relationship with a lot of problems that before you even existed, you're making them aware of their problems. You're making them see that there's another way to be. But this person came this way, and when it's ancestral, that's all that they know. It shouldn't be all that they know, but it is, because they've adapted to the same habits and behaviorisms to get the same results, which is all about, again, living like caring so much about having a self-image and not really connecting on an emotional level. And I say that because trust is something that happens over time. You create experiences. You have to let people in. You have to be transparent. This person doesn't let people be transparent. They want to be in control of the relationship. So right off the bat, they care about their self-image. But meanwhile, their self-image is shattered all the time. You can tell because, again, they've created the same things. They're just coming from a fear-based consciousness. There's only two energies, love and fear. And people that come from fear is like, I don't feel good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not safe. All the things that this person was taught from watching a relationship and then going into relationships and pretty much creating that same dynamic, because it's the habits and the behaviorisms and being surface, not really caring too much about what things look like instead of building a connection. And understand, possibly because this person doesn't even know who they are. They care so much about what other people think than they do about being happy themselves. Sometimes you have to go off and figure out, what what you like and what you don't like, and not care what other people think. This person, I feel like, cares too much about what other people think. And then, you don't really make it easy for them because you're someone that does speak your mind. You're someone that does, set boundaries. You're someone that's of a higher vibration, which means that this person would have to raise their vibration. I mean, that's what the relationship's all about. Remember, it's a past life karmic. Came back into this lifetime, they have an opportunity to step it up. But it doesn't mean it's comfortable for this person. They don't like the fact that you have a voice. They don't like the fact, but they also know that they're imbalanced, but it triggers them. It shows them a different way. You're strong. Someone that uses their voice creates their life. They're not afraid to set boundaries. They're not afraid to not be codependent. Where this person usually dates people that are codependent, and then they're not happy with the relationship. Because, again, they don't really want to be in that type of a relationship. But it's all about them healing themselves. Lack isn't just like how much a person has money-wise. It's usually that lack of, who am I? How am I supposed to create my life? I don't have enough. I want this, I want that, I want the other. But I don't have enough. Always coming from that place instead of creating themselves. And so I feel like their relationships tend to be really imbalanced because, again, they're not 100% strong with themselves. So they would always come in to a relationship and be moody and also want to control your energy more because they're not doing for themselves what they need to fill their own cup up. And then, picking people that they perceive like have it all together, but no one's perfect. And in that you may like lose yourself because this person seems to be like a little bit needy. And what feels right to them is codependency because that's what they grew up in, that's what they've seen, that's what they've had, even though the relationship doesn't get them good results. And this is what you call stupid. But then it gives this person a reason to say, well, this is why I don't really go that deep. But this is why relationships don't work. This is why it's that you continue to do the same thing, get the same result. And here it is. Now you meet somebody that isn't really your type, has you like a voice, isn't going to be subservient to you, and you don't have control over. But it doesn't mean that this person isn't going to resist. It's bringing up all their wounds right now. I'm I'm fearful. I don't have enough. My self-image is going to be broken because, again, I've created a persona of who I want you to perceive that I am and how I like to be perceived as, which that means you don't have that's not who you are. Your persona is not who you are. Your mask is not who you are. You're not going to let the relationship get deep. Intimacy, trust, transparency. So again, this person will always have a little bit of a wall up, and here it is. Again, you are someone that you're going to set boundaries. You're going to ask questions, and you're going to be able to read this person because there is a soul connection. So it makes this person feel very uncomfortable. So what they do is they work a lot. Like I feel like this person is successful in their job. So they tend to like hide behind that persona. And we're not our job. We can do our job well, but this person doesn't connect well with people. There's a sense of not having anything else except for your job. So then we just see this workaholic and compartmentalization, like with the relationship. And that's because it makes them feel safe. But that's because they feel inadequate. So we can see why the relationship is like unfolding the way that it is, which is I'm not really seeing that much happen. I see a lot of things happening internally, and that's what they will again, but you'll feel that person's energy, but you won't see them. They won't be doing anything, but there's healing going on. And because if you tried to be in a relationship with them, they would not be able to be in a successful relationship because they're not on a high enough vibration. So you would feel that they were always like very immature. And also they would always they couldn't be happy for you. They wouldn't be able to hold space for you. You would feel like they were always like in competition with you. So they're not really on the right spiritual vibration to be with you right now. But it doesn't mean that they don't have feelings for you. That's the irony. It's like you can like somebody, you can love somebody, but be jealous at the same time of them. You can have mixed emotions, and that's more about this person and the things that they need to work through. The fact that they still have this feeling of unconditional love and they're holding space for you in their mind because they are like focused on you. The love is what makes the person change, even if it's just fantasy. Where you say, well, this person isn't giving me anything. They're holding you in their mind. It gives them strength. It's a catalyst. So they have to admire you want on some token, but then again, if they're not on that right vibration, it's gonna put them into a place of competition. This is a person that is used to people conforming to what they want, and that's not who you are. And that's, again, you're not codependent. This person's codependent. They inherited that from their ancestors, from their family. It's something that they've done. Like I said, it's because of a fear of lack. And also remember, codependency, you got somebody doing all the work for you. And so, your self-image looks a lot better because you have somebody, taking care of you. But again, then that person wasn't really nurturing of that connection. They wind up not respecting that connection over time, getting bored with that connection over time. Because no one really wants to be with somebody that lives and dies just to take care of them. It's like, where's your identity? Where's your passion? What keeps the relationship alive is common interests, and when you're stepping into the best version of yourself. This connection is going to require this person to step into the best version of themselves, but it's not a smooth transition. Anybody that says, "Oh yeah, it's a smooth transition," no, they fight it. There's a reason why there's dark nights of the soul and phoenixes, because the person needs to surrender their ego, the self-image. That's not who you are. It's like that has to go. You have to look and see why you feel from a place of lack. You waste your time in creating facades. And I feel like this person, they get afraid that people judge them. I feel like they grew up in an environment with people that judge them. And so that when you talk to them and you even try and like have a conversation with them of what you need, they'll turn it around like you're judging them. But that's them, where they need healing because of, again, their feelings of lack and inadequacy. Again, having that fear. This is why they need to have that self-image. So the thing is, it's like you're dealing with somebody that will act really, really, really cocky, but is really, really, really insecure. And so it's really frustrating because they're like, you might try to like compensate and say, well, I'm going to try and make you feel more comfortable. Then it's almost like, well, then they think that you're stupid. And it's like, and they take advantage because they're not of a high vibration as what can I get with doing as little. So again, this is not your energy. Your energy is someone that says what you want, and you're not going to sway from what you want. So again, this person knows that that they're the ones that they're going to have to conform. They don't really want to do that. But what they're going to see is that they really don't have a choice because you walked away at this point. And if they want the connection, they're the ones that are going to have to come back fixing it. Okay, challenges. Wants to fix things, navigating some issues. Like this is this person, like again, finally seeing the challenges that are in the relationship, but really the challenges are really this person's ego, and also fixing it and change behavior. So the change behavior of them actually having to give it you might say, what's the big deal? Well, it doesn't make them feel safe. Again, it makes them have to feel vulnerable. They don't want to feel vulnerable. So the challenge is really it's like the fact that they're thinking about what they did and how to fix it is good, because this person wants to court you. It's like they know that you have like this old-fashioned outlook on the relationship, and that like the old-fashioned, this could also be like this past life connection that you do feel like home, that there's a lot of chemistry, there's a lot of intrigue. It's not explainable. If it was explainable, it would be easy, and this person would be like, well, who cares? But the fact that it's a deep relationship, it's very intriguing to them. It's like they know the challenges really is that they have to put in effort. And that's what I said. It's like this person didn't really want to put in effort. I feel like they've never really put in effort, but that's why their relationships don't work out. That's the irony. And so having to look at what they've done and to stop trying to take control. Like this person was so stuck in power struggles. They have to release the control, which I understand that's what happens eventually in these type of relationships where there's real unconditional love and you disconnect from the person. You have to disconnect fully, like your mind too, almost like you don't care. And that's what happened here. Like we started off with determination. Like you determined to be like, I don't give a fuck what happens. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to have the life that I want. It may not be with you, but I'm going to get what I want. And this person knows that you're leaving them behind. And they may not know it because you didn't say it, but they can feel it because, again, there's a soul connection and you cut that cord. And that's what triggers this person's fear. To actually have to look at themselves and really do the deep dive to be like, why am I like this? Why did I sabotage this connection? Because they clearly sabotaged the connection. Yeah, again, it needs to go with the flow. It's like that's the thing. But this person finds you enchanting, desirable, crush, like elusive. So here it is. It's like teaching this person how to go with the flow. They wanted to control their relationship. They wanted a breadcrumb. They wanted to manipulate. They wanted to strategize. Yeah, and then you were like, I'm not putting up with this shit. Bye. And then this person's like, oh my God. But not until like you really cut it, and you couldn't fake it either. It was like almost like you were like, I'm done. Because they didn't want to change. They didn't want to have to give anything. But again, you make them open up. You're making them open up. It's like this person had a very closed heart. And so I feel like they're someone that has had nothing but bad relationships. They contributed to those bad relationships. They were convinced that relationships really don't happen, and like not normal ones for them. And, they thought that they were going to control this relationship like they control every other relationship. And then if they didn't, well, who cares? The relationship's not going to work anyway. I just replace you with somebody else because you're not my type anyway. And then it's like, again, this person, I feel like, tried to date other people, but then still tried to look for elements of you in those people. I've been learning about twin flames, and it just feels right to me. I don't know if this person really knows that much about twin flames, but I think that they've asked people about soulmates. Do you believe in it? Because like I said, this is a connection that they can't really control. And one that, like I said, they're like, you're not my type. I wouldn't really choose you, but you're intriguing. You're different. It's like said, so this person is not just taken with how you look, but it's how you are as a person. And probably just for not putting up with their shit. Like, I'm not putting up with this. I'm not staying here. I think that this person, like when you met them, they thought who they were. It took for you to have to like completely detach and walk away and not fake it either to like for this person to get it. I think that they were pretty cocky, pretty self-righteous because, well, they usually get what they want. So almost like, who are you to question me? I long for your kisses and touch. Well, it's not uncommon, obviously. If it is a twin flame connection, there is a lot of passion. Even if there's not, it's the desire, it's the fire, which is the alchemy, which is actually what transmutes the pain into power. It changes, it makes this person change. Otherwise, obviously, like, why would we change, right? It's like you're going to be a pain in the ass and like there's no passion. No, it's like people put up with it because there is passion. I feel like I don't deserve your love. I'm worried you'll leave me when you see who I really am. And there it is. The main issue. The main issue is that this person's on a low vibration of how they appear, which is why they always have to, again, create facades because they're fearful and they want people to conform to them because of the feeling of lack. But that feeling of lack is because they don't really know who they are. And that's the problem when we inherit family karma, right? When we family karma, ancestral karma, and this person got both those cards, got ancestral karma and family karma. So this is all that they know. And release fear and ancestral karma. And that is of lack of, again, I'm not good enough. I don't have enough. But understand, if you're walking around with the traumas from what you've inherited, those are parts of you that you didn't develop into self. See, you can't get rid of negative energy. So you could go through an experience where your parents fought all the time and you were the fixer, you were the healer, you were the peacemaker, you were the, again, doing all that. You weren't creating yourself. You weren't finding yourself. You weren't dreaming about what you were going to do when you got older. So you wouldn't even know what talents you had because you wouldn't have went out and found that. And it's not a blame game, but you have to understand that there's many different realities that play it at one time, and what happened to make you perceive that, or what happened to this person in this story, what makes them perceive that there's something wrong with them. Well, it comes from, again, just they were born into a family that way, and then looking around at all their friends' families and making their own judgment. Well, the other parents that get along, they're not always fighting. They're not always screaming. They're not always, it's not, the cops aren't always at the house. That their dad isn't always drunk. Whatever the story is, they compare. And then it's like, well, I'm embarrassed because I'm judging and I like the way that person lives better. And now I'm judging myself. So it's just inherited of thought. Instead of creating oneself, one is too busy trying to create a new image, but creating it from outside of themselves. So, keeping relationships surface, well, that's good for this person because you don't really know who you're dealing with. Because this person doesn't know who they are. So they're not going to let you in that much. But now they don't have control over this connection. And again, you're not their type. Like, I came through a lot because it's almost like this, like, it shouldn't have this much control over me. I shouldn't be thinking about it so much. Why? Normally I don't care. It's like, but it changed. You changed the way that this person sees relationship, but it's all about them learning to surrender their ego. I'm not happy. Karma, like it just keeps playing out within this person's life, and they are tired of it. They're tired of the same exact situations, either the same behaviorisms, could be because the same people and the same situations that dominate this person's life, keep them stuck in a place of limitation, in a place of, cutting themselves off from love, for keeping them stuck in a place of lack. And here you come along, like with your voice and your opinions, and, you know, and not afraid to tell this person a thing or two. Where I think, again, most people were afraid to tell this person a thing or two. And it's like, and what they're saying is, it's like, yeah, but I care so much about my self image, but I'm not happy. You're happy. Like you're happy. This person's not happy. They want to be happy. It's like, so again, comparing. And if you weren't different, this person definitely wouldn't be looking. So they're saying, I like kind of like the way that you live. Almost like they're looking for a muse at this point because their life isn't working. It's like, and they just see the signs and synchronicities. So they may not be like a spiritual person, but it's almost like kismet. It's like they'll think of you and then they'll see something that reminds them of you. 1111, like this person's awakening. They're awakening to unconditional love. I believe that this person, like, again, doesn't like who they are. They don't like who they are. They feel inadequate. That's why they think that you're not going to like them, which is why they wear a mask. The mask has to come off. They have to be transparent. That's terrifying for this person because you might not stay. You may not like them. They might get rejected. But it's almost like they're getting so uncomfortable that they're like, I have to find out anything will be better than how I'm living. I want to know everything about you, but I hold myself back from asking. I'm afraid I'll get in too deep. So it's, again, pretty soon they're not going to be able to hold themselves back because it's, again, love. Everybody needs love. We can't cut ourselves off from that. It's like, and we're all deserving of love. If this person grew up in an environment where there was a lot of karma, maybe they were told that they weren't lovable. Angry parents. Our great grandparents lived through wars. They had trauma. Did everyone get healed? No. It's like, did they project their anger? Did they project their trauma? Of course they did. So is it a blame game? No, but we have to understand where it came from. And so we can have the power to heal. I know the universe works in mysterious ways, but sometimes I judge this situation instead of surrender to it. Obviously, like I said, in the whole beginning of this, they were fighting it. They weren't surrendering to it. It's like what got finally this person exhausted themselves. Because you can't destroy love. You can't break a divine union. If the divine brings two people together, it's for their betterment. It's like the universe says, I think that this person will be perfect for you. And you'd be like, that person's fucked up. How could you bring that person to me? And Spirit says, I don't care whether you're going to be with them or not. When I say this person's the best person, it's the best person that's going to awaken those traumas that you're going to look, you're going to care, just the same as this person cares. Normally they don't care. It's like, who are you? They've been living this life the whole time, not caring. And it's been working, only it hasn't been working. But again, you can be uncomfortable, but comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's how this person was living, asleep. 1111, they're awakening. And they're awakening to the fact that there's actually other way to be, but they have to change. Then that's not a voluntarily thing. It's like, you're not even my type. You're nothing like, it's like, it doesn't logically make sense. This is where this person goes first, in the logical, analytical mind. It's like, you're not going to be able to control it. It's a spiritual thing. They finally exhaust themselves, where it's like, I want to know about you. I don't like my life. I'm tired of this life. I'm tired of this karma. It's like, Yeah, of course. You're tired of cutting yourself off from love, trying to control love. It's like that's the problem with this person. They try to control it instead of just allow it, surrender to it. I feel you pulling away and it's triggering my fears that you'll leave me for good. That's what I told you. That's how this shit started. Remember that you were like, I'm determined to get out of here. I'm determined that I'm going to have a good life one way or the other. I have to cut my energy off from you. I have to. And that's why I said this person like is like, oh, you're pulling away from me. And it's like, but when you cut it, that's almost like when this person comes back. And it's almost like a little triggering for you too. Because it's like, why did you wait until this whole time to do it? And it's because it's like you can't control love. You're mirroring this person. You're like, well, they should have did it X, Y, Z. And this person was like, well, you should have done it A, B, C. And God says, neither one of you are right. I am the universe, and the universe is inside of you. And that energy, my energy, God's energy, the energy of the universe is unconditional love. That's your natural energy, your God given, how you were born, like perfect, without any karma, not your ancestors, not your family, not any of it. So again, this person had inherited a lot, and you're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. So you too had inherited it. Now we haven't pulled yours yet, but we're going to see that again, the spiritual issues that you needed to integrate. But we know that you're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. So inheriting that family karma and not feeling safe from not being taught that, and understand too, you might not even had parents at home that fought all the time. You could have been raised by a parent that didn't make you feel safe, didn't make you feel emotionally safe, so you couldn't be vulnerable, you couldn't be transparent. They were judgy. Again, whatever those traumas are, it's all to bring you back into that energy to integrate it, to heal it. Because even though you're not with your parents anymore, that situation imprinted onto you. And so here it is, this person manifests into your life, it displaying all these wounds. So like I said, we could have to say, well, regardless of what type of relationship, it doesn't matter, because at this point, both parties are doing the healing. So the universe always says, I don't really care whether or not you guys are going to be together. My job was just to bring you closer to your natural, like, energy, the way that you were born, without prejudice, without judgments, without that. Before you knew anything, when everything was perfect, regardless of whatever disabilities you have, whatever limitations you perceived, you didn't have any judgments of yourself, because really there aren't any limitations. You may say, but I'm missing this. And Spirit says, first of all, you're not missing anything. It's like you have all the tools that you need. That's the Magician Tarot card, that you are the magician of your life. You actually have all the tools that you need. You may say, well, I like that person's tools. And Spirit says, that's not part of your path, though. That it's, again, maybe you don't have that particular gift, but you have all the gifts that you need to make your life happy and for you to thrive and to be successful. So first card out for the inner child cards is innocence, outdoors and nature, naive, shame, joy, dance. I'm going to pull just one more. and confusion. And then I wanted to do, I like it when I pull from the Fearless deck too lately. Make it a little bit more fun. Ascending Life and limitless potential. Sorry, limitless potential. So obviously, like the energy of shame is like what's most here. And when a child is shamed growing up, they're made to feel that they're not loved. They're made to feel as if they're bad, that they're not deserving of love. And so I feel like when you were young and naive and innocent, that's when that was projected onto you. So sometimes we were just brought up in a family that is very strict. Our parents want us to be successful. Again, sometimes it's not even that the parent was abusive. It's just it came across like they were abusive, but it wasn't their intention. Was not their intention was to make us the best version of themselves, of ourselves. So again, but in that, feeling like that your innocence was robbed, that you know children are supposed to be naive. Children are supposed to feel safe. They're supposed to be silly. They're supposed to, but like I said, when shame is involved, then we feel like we're bad. Then like it makes us feel very confused about whether we're supported, whether we're loved, whether who we are, the fact that we feel that we need to be perfect. It robs our joy. And then there's always a lack of grounding, because if children are worried, again, and shame is a psychological thing. It's like, so you're not getting hit, but it affects the way that you navigate your life. It's again, you begin to be afraid to take chances. Or you take chances and you don't think. Maybe it's like you one extreme or the other. You wind up getting a second chakra imbalance, and that second chakra imbalance is that your unique individuality, who you perceive that you are. So it's also the emotional center. And so when we hold on to shame, it affects how we perceive ourselves. And that way that we're seeing ourselves is not through a clear lens per se. Your perception is distorted, and it's through that. And then we can't really go with the flow of life. Dance is that there's a rhythm to life, right? Going with the flow of life. And so when we have a second chakra imbalance, there's a need to control. That second chakra is right where the hips are, right? So it's on top. It's the lower back. So when a person has a second chakra imbalance, they really are known as tight asses, like because they have a hard time going with the flow. They're not flexible. They want to control. So what Spirit was saying is, it's like, yeah, both parties grew up in the same type of environment. However, one is unfair. Yes, that person was very unfair, but then they have a second chakra imbalance. So they don't know what balance is. They're going to overcompensate and try and take more. You too grew up in the same way and also feel the need to control, where you're like, okay, they shouldn't be doing this, and what they're doing is not fair, and they should do this and they should do that. And from your perception, what you're staring at is, well, what they're doing is fine. And then Spirit says, so surrender it, walk away from it. It's like you want them to change. You wanted them to change. Even if you didn't say, well, I'm going to make you change, your energy was still holding on to them. So what you were saying to them without saying to them was, I want you to change. They're like, I don't want to change. I don't want to be subservient to you. It's like, and not until you were like, okay, like you're really just being ridiculous, like subservient to me. You're surrendering to love. That's what unconditional love is. And spirit says yes. So, but it has to start with yourself first. And you love yourself enough, which is why you walked away. And what this person sees is, well, I don't really love myself enough. I don't even think that I'm good enough for you. So they're doing a little bit of work on themselves at this time, which is what they needed to do. So whether the relationship works or not, spirit doesn't care because it got this person to do the work. And for you, it was more about like pouring the energy into yourself, having to reparent yourself. So giving energy to somebody that is trying to control. So we try and not control, and spirit says, well, you can learn how to go with the flow and not control when you're again living your life, like pouring into yourself. This person didn't pour into you, so you needed to pour into yourself. Then life begins to happen. So there was a grounding issue. It's again connection to the earth, connection to the physical body, the physical world, all physical elements of the physical world. So maybe not even seeing a lot of money. Again, there was an imbalance there. And there would be if you had a second chakra imbalance, and you might say, well, I didn't really like just not wanting this person to like treat me bad. How was that controlling? And spirit says you still connected to this person. The moment that you saw that they weren't going to change, instead of giving them second chances and third chances and hoping that they would change, you just walk away from them because they were robbing you of your joy. It's again ruining the innocence of the connection, thinking that you were naive and really like just trying to create confusion to get control, where really spirit says, no, this is about you. Like, you're not shame. This person not giving you anything would keep you in a place of shame. Pouring into yourself does not bring you to a place of shame. So spirit says it's all about reparenting yourself and getting to see yourself different. And when I see cards like naive and innocence, they're really childlike cards, joy, happiness, dance, go with the flow. It tells me that you're you had inner child wounds, and that happened from childhood, the way that you were raised. So what spirit is saying is like, go and recreate yourself. Again, that version of yourself, it doesn't even exist anymore. You're not even that person anymore. And that will force this person to change. And as soon as he did it, this person's changing. And it's because life is all about evolving into the highest state of consciousness. We're down here to learn that we're not separate from love. We meet people, situations happen that make us feel like we are. But spirit says, again, there's many different realities that play out. So if you're not seeing yourself that way, it's to integrate the spiritual lesson. But whether this person comes with you or not, right now, this person was put on your path to help you ascend life, because you do have limitless potential right now that you are putting your energy into yourself. That's how this started. Remember, you're determined to have a successful life. And spirit says, yeah, so you are awakening to your true potentiality. However, this person tried to challenge that, right? That's what they were doing. They were projecting their shit onto you. However, once you cut that, you were saying, I know, I accept that I have limitless potential, and you do ascend life because you drop what no longer serves. So this person has the opportunity to evolve or evolve out of your life, evolve up. And what it looks like is they're doing healing work. Will they make it back in time for you? Who knows? Probably not. Because you're going to still evolve. If you're on your path, you're still going to be making things happen for you. This person has a while to go, in my opinion, before they before they can even catch up. They're not on your vibration. And remember, you're not going to stay on this vibration. That's the whole thing with the second chakra. We don't just go with the flow of life, but as you do, you're meeting people and situations that are changing your mind and your heart. You're not changing you. You're not controlling anything. It's that you are metamorphosing because life is happening. And as long as you don't abandon yourself and hold on to energies of shame and feeling like not good enough and lack, which is what this person felt like, where spirit says, you might not have felt like that anymore, but you did not integrate the spiritual lesson, which means that you learned it in your mind, but you didn't ground it. Where spirit says this is a grounding issue. This is about getting a better connection to the physical body, the physical world, and all physical elements of the physical world, so you can really transmute that energy, so you can see yourself differently. It's about grounding the energy, but once you do, you change your energy even more. That I don't really see how the connection would do that. Underneath the truth carefully and write your own ending. So it's, again, it's like it's not written yet. See, it's like, because, but I don't feel like this person realistically is going to be able to evolve. However, spirit says anything's possible. So it's, again, uncover the truth carefully and write your own ending, meaning like it hasn't yet been discovered. Like it's not even there yet. That's not even on the table. Right now it's more about a desire for freedom, like to find yourself, to discover yourself, and I feel like in a relationship with a person that has that, well, guess what? I feel like they're not really ready to be in a relationship as of right now anyway, because the wild that heart also can represent feeling trapped, unstable, and like an impulse to run. And that's because they're not ready 100%. They have to come to terms on their own. And that's why I'm saying this is a thing that where you can't control. You have to surrender. And it's more or less like what'll be is what'll be. But this person like is evolving, but it's like they're doing it now that you're out of their life. So I just feel like they said, well, that's evolve out of your life. And right. And a lot of times that's exactly what'll happen. And they'll evolve right out of your life because you will evolve again. The more that you're on your path and doing for yourself, the more that this person seems a lot more unappealing. And the reason why is because they came in lowballing it to begin with. They have a lot of problems. They have a lot of ancestral karma, which means they have a lot of inner child healing. They need to do that inner child healing. But this relationship of them wanting to control was major issue, because again, none of their relationships are good. It means that they're always coming from a place of fear, and no one wants to be with someone that's dominant and controlling, and then winds up controlling their relationship, and then doesn't want the relationship once that they control it into what they want. So not until they would meet somebody that there was this intense connection that they couldn't control, would they even bother to look at the relationship any different. And that doesn't mean like that it becomes, oh, they have an epiphany. It takes them a long time. Like I said, so I feel like you would evolve out of this person's life. I feel like there's a sense that I feel like as you pull away, this person like tries to like run after you, tries to hold on to you, but never really catches up, but gets them to move into a higher vibration. And still you leave them in a better energy than how you found them, because God knows that their energy is horrible right now. Yeah, typical Gemini, like it depends. Like again, those two, like you deal with two different personalities, and so the person that wants you and the person that doesn't want you. So the best way to deal with that person that gives you the constant mixed messages is to make sure that you have a very busy life, a very strong life, because understand, you having a busy life makes the relationship not so predictable. See, again, I don't really feel like I never look really at the zodiacs. However, Gemini tends to have that reputation. I feel like if a person is traumatized and they have a lot of spiritual blocks, then what happens is again, I love you today, I don't love you tomorrow. It's very bipolar, it's very narcissistic. It's like I love you, no I don't love you, like the constant like second guessing to so that you never really feel stable within the connection is what happens. So if you're real busy in your life and you don't let them get comfortable, well, then either they're going to rise up to your level and eventually they'll give up and find a different person to to do that too. But sometimes we don't know if the person, are you a narcissist or are you spiritually blocked? Yeah, are you ready to heal? Are you ready to evolve? Do you know what it is that you're doing? Sometimes we don't know. And but either way, you would receive negative karma. So the way that you do that is again, you just evolve. Hey Siska, by the way, I'm ready. I'm really ready to know how another potential person that I don't want to lose an opportunity because, well, I feel like it's the only way that that'll happen too is if you go out and you find somebody. It's like you hold space, Miss Mimi, for that guy, and that's the energy. And the thing is, that person doesn't feel like they need to do anything. They're going to stay stagnant because their way is, I'm going to trigger you. You'll do it. See, it's bothering you. But if you went out and you like put yourself out there, it doesn't necessarily mean that you got a date, but even like doing things that you're gonna like interest you, you would be out and about. See, the universe would bring you a person, maybe not through the painting with the twist class that you go to or that dancing class, but maybe on the way there, on the way back, or through a friend, or through you're putting yourself out there. And when you're engrossed in what you're doing, you're cutting that energy off. It's like this person feels your energy on them. They feel like they don't need to do anything. It's like they feel like you'll do it. And that's like in this story. In the story, not until the person cut their energy off did the person was like, oh, it's not a joke. Oh, I have to come in and I have to do something. And guess what? I have to do a lot more than what I've been doing. But they wouldn't do it otherwise. And the whole point is, a lot of times too, is by the time that they do it, you don't even want them back because you're like, why did you push it to this level? And that teaches you about what unconditional love is. And again, about surrender. And it doesn't matter what it looks like, even though we get caught up in what it looks like. And that, these soul relationships are difficult. It's like all that for what? For that little bit of relationship. And Spirit says a lot happened behind the scenes, but it's not an easy relationship. 32 still lives with his dad still and still acts like he's 25 drinks only. Well, but then it's like you're attached to him, Miss Mimi. It's like this. It's like if you know that this person isn't good, you have to ask yourself, why am I still attached to this person that still lives at home with their mother and father and still doesn't really, do what they need to do for themselves. It's like, well, if they don't do for themselves, then they're not really going to do for you because they don't care enough to even do for themselves. And sometimes when we're so connected to someone that we're like, okay, the writing's on the wall, this person doesn't have any of their shit together. There's no way that they could even be in a relationship. Then you need to ask yourself, do you have like a intimacy issue? Do you have a like like a thing for going after like people that are unavailable? Because that person, even though they may not be with anyone else, they are not emotionally intelligent or they are not available because of their choice to be in a relationship, but you being connected to that person essentially wouldn't get anything, or you're just going to be on an emotional roller coaster. That's what it's going to feel like. Like, because sometimes this person's going to be like, oh, well, sometimes I'm lonely. And sometimes I like your energy, because I'm lonely and I don't have to do anything for it. So I don't really want to let you go. But then what satisfaction is that? There's no satisfaction over time. Like you would get resentful. So that's why I'm saying it's like you have to replace that. It's like that this person is like it does isn't capable. It's like you're on here every time that I'm on complaining about this person, knowing that they're not, knowing that they're old and they don't get their shit together. It's like they feel like they don't have to. And possibly because they're talking to a lot of people. Now, it doesn't mean that any of those people are good choices or that they would want to be in a relationship. But it's like the person's not grounded. They live at home, they drink all day, so it's like what are they doing for entertainment? What are they doing to make themselves feel good? What are they doing to like raise their energy? Well, they're probably not doing anything except for talking to other people and getting attention from other people. So sometimes that's all the relationship that the person needs. They don't really want a relationship. They're just like, tell me how wonderful I am. Tell me how great I am. Like, let me have a little conversation. Let me feel that you really like me. And so it feeds my ego. So again, that's who this person is. And then they say, well, eventually, someone's going to get me out of here. Eventually, someone will propose to me, even though it could be all delusional because guess what? Anybody that really values themselves is not sitting around talking to them, every day and feeding them, especially if they're not getting anything in return. So it's just that this person is living a daydream. They're avoiding life. And then when they look at their life, they're like, I don't like the way my life looks. No, you're not going to like the way that your life looks because where did you invest your time? Not in an authentic relationship, not the one that's going to be transparent, that grows, that makes you feel emotionally fulfilled. No, no, no. You're too afraid of those relationships. So it's counterfeit. Everything's counterfeit, which is lust. It's like, tell me how wonderful I am. Tell me how sexy I am. Tell me, like, you know what I mean? Tell me, spend time talking to me again so I can avoid life, so I can avoid really to be. And that's a person that, if that's the way that they are, you can't make them change. They want to choose to stay in a low vibration. Eventually, when they get a little older, maybe they'll get scared. But let me tell you something, if you sit there and you wait, you will not be chosen when they finally awaken to that either. Because they'll say, I want someone better than you. And meanwhile, you'd be like, but was here and I was like giving you love the whole time. But they're like, yes, but I don't like who I am still. So I have to marry someone better than me. And I don't think that you're better than me because you've been sitting here the whole time. So anyone that likes me that much, how great are you? And that's, again, the irony of a person that's not healed. That's why it's like you have to be careful. There's been many a person that has been that placeholder and has not been the chosen person because hey, I can't pretend that I'm somebody that I'm not with you. You saw it all. You sat here the whole time. I want to pretend that I'm somebody else. I can't sell myself like as that version of myself clearly because I don't like myself. So it's like the person hasn't done any work on themselves. They've their time out has been to talk to other people, to waste their time. So where are you in the interim? And that's why you have to say, like, your life is worth more than that. You're worth more than that. I'm glad that you saw right through her, Mose. I feel like that's the thing. It's like people are happy when they look back on relationships that they're like, I'm so glad that I left. It's like because what you'll see is the more that you stay, the more that you give. That's how big the wound is. And so you're like, the person didn't give me anything. They were a complete asshole the whole time, but I'm still like I'm so hurt. And it's because of wanting to that person to step into their potential, you seeing their potential, you investing in that instead of investing in yourself. It's the love that you gave to this person, where really Spirit says you need to give yourself that love. Because if you're giving it to someone that you're not even recognizing, like who they are, and it has nothing to do with you, it has to do with that. And that, I hope you know that, Miss Mimi, that has nothing to do with you. This person's lazy. They're like, as long as I got people here that are going to do it, that's where I'm going to stay, because my parents are let me stay here rent free, or my life is easy, I don't have to grow up. It's like eventually someone will come by that rescues me, but I'm going to do very little in the interim. So that's why I'm saying this has nothing to do with you. This is where this person is. But it would have everything to do with you is if you decide to sit here and wait for this person, because they don't deserve it. It's like you have to be like know your worth. It's like, because that person is like, they wouldn't do right by you later on. Some people say, well, I've been in this person's life for 10 years, 15 years. Doesn't matter. If they didn't treat you nice with respect the whole time, they would not think twice about picking somebody else to be with. And again, nothing to do with you. Almost like you get penalized. Oh, you like me too much, and I don't like myself that much. So how good can you be? Like, again, why the person doesn't want to join a club that they would be a member of. You know what I mean? Like they want to be seen as someone different. And that's why I'm saying it's like you're undervaluing yourself, and in the end you wouldn't get anything in return. Be true to you. Remember that. You teach people how you want to be treated. Not at all. That's why next week I'm going on a coffee date, and hopefully he will catch my attention. Well, I feel like it's have a love affair with yourself. Date a lot of different people, but it's like make sure that you cut the cord on that one person, because like I said, that winds up doing a lot more damage in the long run, when we stay connected to someone that doesn't put in effort. All right, guys, I am going to wind down. If no one has any questions for me, thank you so much for sharing your energy with me tonight, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to share, check out my Patreon, because I'm going to be posting up some material there as well. So if you guys would like to watch more videos, I'll start putting the link in the description box for you guys. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.